Lee Camp, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, former host of Redacted tonight. We're going to talk about it. This is heartbreaking. Lee Camp, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, man, I finally lapped you in the censorship Olympics. I thought we've been winning for like a year now. And I was like, hold my beer.
Yeah. I'm tired of Graham getting all this sweet censorship praise. I want to have my main sole source of revenue taken away from me just to stick it in Graham's face.
I am sick of him acting like he's the sole pariah. Listen, I want to have my life equally destroyed. So
I'm tired of Graham's. I lost some of my revenue. I'm going to lose all of my revenue. Fuck nut. Take that.
In 1 week, I lost my TV show's been canceled. My Spotify removed my other podcast, Moment of Clarity, and all Redacted Tonight YouTube videos are banned in Europe and the UK. So,
Jesus,
doing well.
Wow. I guess me being bummed that Ethereum's not doing great. I probably shouldn't bring that up right now, huh?
I mean, if you could stop talking about the traffic from your tanning bed or whatever the fuck it was, that would help. That would.
Tanning bed. Lee, it was yoga class. It was not a tanning bed. I mean,
it was outdoor yoga, so I got a tan, but still.
I mean, yes, I was driving with my windows down in my electric car after yoga because it's beautiful outside, but that was not a tanning bed, Lee Camp. It was hot yoga and it was a moving meditation. So
and by traffic, I mean, there was a tortoise that was going a little slow in the middle of the road and I kind of had to sit there for a minute. So,
I was surfing yesterday and the waves were a little tumultuously, so I needed to go to yoga. So if you could really just kind of think about what I'm going through, that would be helpful.
Yes, indeed. For those who aren't familiar, this week, all of RT America suddenly shut down on Wednesday, March 2nd. They stopped all programming, didn't tell us why, and then the following day said it's all over. See you guys later. It's pretty upsetting. I mean, it's kind of ironic to see Redacted Tonight finally be redacted.
You should get Redacted Tonight shirts that have redacted across the front of them.
Yes. So for those who want to continue to support my work, I am at Patreon now. I created it yesterday, patreon.com/LeeCamp. I didn't want to be at Patreon because it's, as we talked before, they kind of suck, but it's kind of the only place you can do exclusive content in that way. But anyway, so I wrote an article. The first thing I wrote over there is an article about what I think happened because they told us nothing. And if you read the articles about what went down with RT America closing, the articles act like, oh, they lost their platforms and they just closed because of revenue stream. And I'm calling a major horseshit on that one. So they did lose. So DirecTV stopped carrying them and Roku stopped carrying them. And those were two of their biggest platforms. But even if that revenue is cut off, RT America had enough money to go for several months, if not a year. They have huge online presence, so they'd still have a lot of viewers even without DirecTV. And the fact that it was so immediate, it was like everything ceases right now, nothing going further, makes me think, without evidence, I don't speak for RT America. Like I said, I have no actual evidence of this, but it just makes me think that the Justice Department probably told them, you're done.
Yeah, I mean, that wouldn't shock me either. I mean, this is what I would say to the audience that's watching this, watching our show right now, who I'm sure many of them, I mean, I was a regular viewer. I watched Boom Bust. That's how I learned about it. I mean, you and I follow Rachel Blevins on Twitter. I don't know her personally, but we follow each other, and I watch Boom Bust.
She does good work. Yeah, I know her.
Yeah.
And she was one of the earliest ones censored a couple of years ago. They deleted her entire Facebook, 77,000 fans without explanation, just for being a reporter at RT.
Yeah. And so, and I've had Christy I from Boom Bust on my show several times. I've been a semi-regular on Crosstalk with Peter Lavelle. I've been on Redacted. Ron and I were on Redacted a couple years ago when we were in DC.
Yep.
I watch Max Kaiser. I've had him and Stacey Herbert on my show. I watch On Contact.
Which is Chris Hedges. They also have or had Jesse Ventura.
Yep. I used to watch that show. I think I even had Samira Khan on my show when she was still a correspondent for RT. Yep. So I've watched a lot of RT content and always really liked it. And so this is what I would say to the audience watching right now. If you have DirecTV or Roku, reach out and complain. Like, let them know that you're pissed at this. But I wouldn't be surprised if because there's nowhere for Americans to get any counter narrative to what's happening right now. And it's so, I was watching both. I was watching this last 2 weeks. I've watched CNN and Fox and MSNBC, and I've tried to watch RT and Democracy Now! Is pretty, they're pretty neat.
No, a lot of the so-called left-wing media has just fallen for it hook, line, and sinker. We don't need to go into all the details. We did that on the last episode, but it's like, all I'm asking for is some context. And for people who didn't listen to last week's episode and think that I somehow support war, support Russia's war, support any bombing, it's like, no, I have clearly stated, and I was allowed to state at RT America, which made it different from the other networks. I was allowed to state that I was opposed to all war, opposed to all bombing, opposed to killing civilians, all that shit. And right now, what we're seeing is the U.S. feigning that they care, U.S. government, U.S. media, feigning that they care about Ukrainian civilians while wanting this conflict, this war, to last as long as possible.
Yes.
They do not want this to end. So it's really an impressive form of propaganda. Hey, everybody, care about these civilians so that we can, make this last as long as possible, by somehow acting like, grandmas in the streets of Ukraine are going to defeat the Russian military or whatever the fuck. And there's a huge pressure on Ukraine from the U.S. to not accept any of the peace deals. So the U.S. wants more death and destruction.
Yeah, and the thing that's so alarming is like the one-sided narrative. So it's like Putin is trying to blow up a nuclear power plant. No, that's not true. No. He hit a training center that was near a nuclear facility. And the nuclear facility apparently is okay. Now, again, I'm not happy. I don't like Putin bombing anybody. I wish he would pull out of there, but there's no counter narrative. And I put this speech that Putin gave 2 days ago that, again, I could only find like on some obscure Twitter feed where he's like, we don't want neo-Nazis. And the Azov Brigade, no one in the Western media is talking about how they are openly neo-Nazi. Now, does that mean all of Ukrainian government and military is neo-Nazi? No, but they're still working with, it's like.
Right. And the other thing we went over in the last Government Secrets, I highly recommend everybody go check it out. The other thing we went over is the expansion in NATO, which is a military alliance right into Russia's face, despite all the promises that they would not keep expanding. They keep expanding. And Russia has said time and again that they, need promises that are kept, that NATO will not expand to Ukraine and Georgia and former Soviet bloc countries. And yet it just keeps going. So like I've said, and like you've said, we're opposed to this, but also a lot of the U.S., the people who are highly trained in understanding geopolitics knew this was going to happen. And it seems that the U.S. is thinking, well, it's good that it's happening because it's a good PR win for the U.S. and it's, we're winning the propaganda war. But apparently they were nervous enough that they weren't winning the propaganda war that they had to shut down all of RT America.
I know. It's like, I just want to hear a different perspective, and now I can't. And that this is what really bothers me. I mean, I really like, why can't I thought we had a free, and the other thing too, people are like, yeah, shut down RT. I'm like, so you're against democracy. You're against freedom of the press. The press should be calling out those in power. So who's going to call out those in power now?
Right. No adversarial media, and people probably hear that and they go, Fox News hates Biden. And it's like, dude, it's all within an allowable window of corporate thought, pretending these are two diametrically opposed parties when in fact they agree on 90% of the structural issues in this country. They agree on fucking creating war with Russia despite the nuclear threat. They agree on all this shit. There is no difference in the two parties when it comes to geopolitics. And you're right. You can't get all these voices were just silenced. And by the way, the other thing that people like to pretend, RT had one talking point or one view. It's like, dude, they hired people that are so different. There were people in that studio. I worked at the DC studio that there were right wingers there, former Fox News people that I didn't agree with on just about anything. Like, they allowed a lot of different viewpoints. Basically, I'd say the one theme of who was at RT America is people who were not acceptable inside the corporate talking points of American media.
That was it.
Yeah,
that was it. They were not acceptable. Like you can be on Fox if you're critical of Joe Biden, but you can't be critical of war. Like you can say Joe Biden just isn't doing war the right way, the Republican way. But if you say, why are we doing any of these wars? You're gone. I mean, it's the same. It's the same thing. Like, you can say, why is Trump on MSNBC? You can say, why is Trump doing this or that with the war? But you can't say, why the hell are we in any wars? I mean, the other thing that is so mystifying here, we talked about last week, and we can move on, but that RT was doing, which is like, and I just put something on my Instagram that AJ Plus put out there of like, this talk of these refugees, their blonde hair, blue eyed, like the white supremacy of this. What about all of no mention of Yemen. Yeah. Joe Biden didn't mention it in his State of the Union speech, which basically, if you weren't paying attention, I guess we've never bombed anybody. The American economy is doing great, and Putin bad, and Scranton and oil. Those are the things Joe Biden mentioned, And so no one's if the international community held America accountable for its human rights violations, there would be no U.S. sports teams playing in international competition for the last 20 years. Like that's like, we wouldn't, no World Cups, no Olympic for 20 years now. We've been doing human rights violations, and no one's saying that. It's like, and then when I say that, it's like, that doesn't mean I love Putin and what he's doing. But Putin has been making it very clear, we're killing neo-Nazis. We're not going to have Nazis on our border. I hope Russia pulls out of the Ukraine. If they take a couple Nazis with them, fine by me,
And this is why you can't be on TikTok. You're just all about the Nazis, man.
I know. It's like I'm just saying all the same kind of crazy stuff that my uncles who fought in World War II said when we sent young American men to go to Europe to kill Nazis. They had one goal, and now we're siding with them. It's almost like I'm as crazy as my uncles and all of the allies were in World War II.
And considering that these dumb algorithms just we didn't type anything out. So that means they're just listening to our voices and creating a transcript and then deleting anything that uses the word Nazi, which means you could never have negative news about Nazis, which means no one could ever learn about the harm being caused by Nazis or neo-Nazis here in the U.S. I was nearly killed by a neo-Nazi in Charlottesville. You can have none of that news on your social media platforms because they're just eliminating anything that even sounds like Nazi. You probably couldn't even have a show that's two blind people talking about how they can Nazi. And their shit's getting deleted.
I can't believe you just said Nazi like that, Lee. I'm really offended.
It's pretty offensive.
It is pretty offensive. I'm going to shut your side of this stream down just because that offended my algorithm. You offend my algorithm, Lee Camp.
which
So
is the organ right next to the gallbladder.
it is. That's true. I know
Yeah.
science. Well, dude, I think you should start doing it. You should start doing on Rockfin. You should start live streaming and doing basically Redacted Tonight. Just call it Redacted Tonight and do it on Rockfin. Just keep the show going on Rockfin because I think they're not going to censor you there.
True. Yeah, I'll call it Unredacted Tonight or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But but yeah, if people want to help, I don't know what this. Look, to be clear, it's not like I'm starving, so I'm not saying that either. But I don't know what my next big project like Redacted Tonight will be. I haven't figured it out yet. But I'm going to continue making content even as I figure that out. There will be Moment of Clarity videos. There will be podcasts like this one. And so if people want to support all of that, it's patreon.com/LeeCamp.
Yeah. And go to rockfin.com/LeeCamp as well. And
Yep.
And also, and we'll talk about it later. You sent me a text today, and I think we're going to have more time to take government secrets on the road now. So
yeah. Listen, I'm nothing but time now, man. I'm just going to show up outside your door, just sitting in the front of your apartment building. Just like, Graham, well, let's do something, man. You want to get some green juice? You want to sit in the traffic on the way to the tanning bed yoga?
You want to go charge your electric car and make smoothies? Come on, buddy. Let's do it. I've got time. Well, you're welcome to show up here anytime and go to my tanning bed. Really, I look forward to that. So, all right. What's up? By the way, this is Government Secrets episode 74. Redacted Tonight.
Lee Camp laps Graham in the censorship Olympics.
Oh, this is I mean, I thought my TikTok getting censored was but now you had a whole network get wiped out. So
if I'm going down, I'm taking Jesse Ventura and Chris Hedges with me. And William Shatner and Dennis Miller. Dude, I love the funniest fucking thing. The funniest fucking thing was that Dennis Miller, who, by the way, I used to respect back in the late 80s and stuff. He did some good comedy, and I used to really enjoy it. And then his HBO show was okay. It, had some libertarian stuff. And then he fucking, after 2001, he spun off the rails and just became a right-wing lunatic. So then he joins RT America as an interview show. And literally, like, his lineup is just all B, C, and D celebrities. It's people you haven't heard of in 15 years and stuff like that. And which is fine, do your thing. But he took a grandstand like 2 days before this past week, 2 days before RT was shut down. So it hadn't shut down yet. And he took a grandstand where he said, I am leaving RT America because I do not believe in what's going on with Russia or whatever. And I was like, oh yeah, what a brave man. I am no longer going to host my interviews with the guy who played Steve Urkel on RT America. No longer will the great numbers of fans of my interesting questions with Carlton from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air be aired on your network.
It's like he's an old person that just discovered podcasts. And he's like, I can just interview anybody? Yeah, Dennis, you can.
I watched this Dane Cook interview because I was fascinated how he'd fill an hour, and it kind of almost seems impressive, kind of like, can you sit here and stare at a wall for an hour?
Wow. Like I'm glad he left RT just for the words Dane Cook interview. You know what I mean? Like that's enough for him. I like when that one dropped, RT should have been like, hey, it's time for you to go back and do your radio show. And then
the other, sorry to go off on these tangents, but the other one was William Shatner also stopped his show like 2 days before. And the hilarious thing was William Shatner is 91, I think. And like literally his show is literally was called I Don't Understand. And he'd interview scientists, and I watched a few minutes. He literally didn't understand what the hell was going on, but he seemed to have no idea what network he was on or what was like, and people are like yelling at him, like, you got to get off RT America. And he's like, who said that? And there's somebody on the Twitter bot. Like, It was the most ridiculous fucking situation.
Oh God. Well, yeah, it's like, okay. Well, I'm sorry, Redacted's done. I'm sorry, RT America's done, because I liked watching it. I liked being on shows. But we'll be announcing more government secret live dates for the summer. So be ready for that, folks.
Yeah. Absolutely.
All right. So you want to do a This Week in Government Secrets, buddy? A Twigs?
Yeah, I have a few, and then we'll finish up with your story. So I have three This Week in Government Secrets. This is March 4th, 1789. In New York City, the first Congress of the United States meets, putting the U.S. Constitution into effect.
Oh.
And that, of course, is not the government secret. I would like to add that while I understand people are very fond of their nationalism and pride in the Constitution and stuff, you have to remember that although there was a revolution against the king and the monarchy in England, this was still very rich men. It was basically a dispute between oligarchs. This was very rich men, leading very poor people. Sometimes the Continental Army or whatever was like these raggy little, wearing scraps of clothing, farm hands and stuff. I mean, it was rough at times. And I don't doubt the bravery and all that stuff for these folks fighting, but I just think the secret side of it, you don't need me to tell you how cool the Revolutionary War was. The secret side of it is that these are also very rich men who wanted to be done with being lorded over by the monarchy, and so they led this revolution. But, George Washington was one of the 10th richest people in all of the United States. If you're considering money, wealth, he was insanely rich. And of course, they all had slaves. I know that's luckily no longer a secret, although, many people until recently kind of denied it or ignored it or something. And I think one of the biggest secrets, which we've talked about before, is when they said all men are created equal in the Declaration of Independence, they meant 6% of the population, white landowning men. 6% were the all men are created equal.
I love to it's just another example. Like even the founding fathers is like, now America was literally just set up as a tax dodge. Like this was just this was the original Cayman Islands, basically, is what this is.
Yep. This was just Donald Trump on horseback saying, "I'm not paying the king."
It was like, and I love that when it all comes down, most wars are just oligarchs fighting with each other, which is basically what Joe Biden said at his State of the Union. He's like, Russian oligarchs are bad, but American oligarchs are the shit, man. Right. They're awesome.
Right. Only Russia has oligarchs. There's no ruling class cunt at the top of America.
No, not at all. This is a land of the free. The working class is always represented. That's taken care of. That's why 100 new billionaires were created during a once in 100-year pandemic that has destroyed people's lives and their wealth and everything else. Yeah, that's exactly.
It's like $5.5–6 trillion has gone to billionaires over the course of the pandemic now.
And about 1.4, I think around 1.5 trillion dollars in new debt has gone on to the average American.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know if people notice, it's kind of like siphoned from the bottom half to the top 1%.
Right.
So number 2 on the list of
Twigs, number 2.
Twigs is March 4th, 1957, the S&P 500 stock market index is introduced. The S&P 500. So, of course, the secret side of the stock market is it's a fucking Ponzi scheme. It's a goddamn Ponzi scheme. All right? Literally, these are pieces of paper that are nothing unless you find someone else to buy it for more, which is the definition of a Ponzi scheme. Otherwise, it is nothing. It is. If you take a Google stock in and you say, I want my money's worth, they will give you less than a penny. It says in fine print, it's like 1/10 of a penny for your Google stock, which is whatever, $1,000 or I don't know what it is. But yeah, they'll give you a penny. They'll say, there you go. That's what's that piece of paper's worth. Stock market is a massive Ponzi scheme. And again, that doesn't mean you can't get rich from it, because guess what? A lot of people get rich from Ponzi schemes.
Yeah. Somebody gets screwed over. And the S&P 500, the advent of it is just another like thing to make regular like working Americans like debate over, you know what I mean? Just like who's in the top 25 for college football or something like that. It's just another thing for people to like, oh, did you hear so-and-so dropped out of the S&P 500, moving up the ranks at number 165 is this horrible corporation that you think is a good person. Yeah. Like that's all it is. It means nothing. It's more, it's just just a billboard 100 for the fucking oligarchs is what it is. It's just like,
yeah. And they use it to decide whether the American economy is doing well. They'll go, look how good the S&P 500 is doing. But in fact, these corporations do well when the American worker is fucked. That's when they do their best, when they've fucked over the American worker. So in fact, and I've used this analogy before, that looking at the stock market to decide the health of the economy is like looking at the leeches on a dying man to figure out how healthy it is, and going, well, the leeches look happy, so all is well.
Well, that's basically what Biden said in his State of the Union speech. Like everything's great, you know what I mean? And we're going to have a recession. That's going to happen. We're going to have a financial collapse.
Scott Ritter, who's the former UN's weapons inspector, and called that there would be no WMD in Iraq and everything. So he's right about a lot of this stuff. He said the U.S. is really loving that Russia is losing a propaganda war, that their economy suffered, all the sanctions on them. But he goes, these people don't even understand this is going to fucking kill the economy of Europe, of the U.S. Like he's like, I don't think these people are ready for the pain that's coming.
It's going to be awful. And at any moment, Putin, he's hinted at it. He could just go, okay, we're moving to Bitcoin, because in the first 2 days of the attack and the sanctions, in the neighborhood, and I'm sure this number has gone up, but in the neighborhood of $1.5 billion in rubles went to Bitcoin. And of course, psycho warmonger Hillary Clinton was like, we're letting Russia win with Bitcoin. I want to drink blood of virgins, or whatever she said, something to that effect. Nope. But basically, this is what Bitcoin was designed for, was to circumvent governments, sanctions.
And so the U.S. government likes to try and stop Bitcoin, or, cause it harm by saying, well, see, criminals use Bitcoin. Yeah. You know what all criminal activity that's outside of Bitcoin is on? Fucking dollars.
Oh, come on, Lee. There's no drugs or blood on the American dollar. Come on, buddy.
Never once. Yeah.
No, never once. There's not a blood-soaked $100 bill that's scrolled up sniffing blow off of a corpse right now. But yeah, so if Putin does that, if he says, all right, Russia's going to Bitcoin, then, this country, being as dumb as it will like, well, we're going to outlaw Bitcoin, and everyone's going to go, no, you're not. And it's just like, then all these other countries, I mean, El Salvador's economy has boomed, their tourism is up 30% just because they're encouraging businesses to come down there. And all these other countries are going to go, just watch. Venezuela, anyone that's ever been sanctioned by us is going to go, here's Bitcoin. They're going to go to it. It's
well, and to me, as an anti-war, anti-imperial activist, that's why I supported Bitcoin from the beginning. Was not that I think like Bitcoin doesn't stop capitalism, so I don't think it solves all the world's problems, but there are positives, such as getting around the central banking system. And if you actually look of the theme, Ellen Brown wrote a great article about this, which I then lovingly stole and made my own, where I just basically take her article and add jokes to it. But she wrote an article about how the one thing that unites all of these countries we've invaded and attacked, like Syria, Iraq, Afghanistan, Libya, it's not oil. I mean, yes, some of them have oil, but that's not what really unites them. What unites them, they're all outside of our central banking arm.
Yes.
That's more upsetting. than oil.
I mean, if you want to look at this Russia-Ukraine conflict, so I just said a lot of Russian people just converted to Bitcoin because the ruble is crashing, right? Well, the dollars is you can't get a hold of dollars now. But also on the Ukrainian side, they have raised somewhere in the neighborhood $37 million in crypto, mainly Bitcoin and Ethereum, has flooded into Ukraine to help support what the Ukrainian people. Because people can just, that's the thing, crypto, you can just send it anywhere in the world. I don't have to pay Swift code fees and route it through some bank or whatever. So it's really, it's on both sides. It's showing like, oh, we can circumvent all of this stuff. So because the bad guys in this are Putin, Biden, NATO, the defense contractors, the Azov brigade, and the innocent victims in this are the Ukrainian people, the Russian people, and anyone, who's in that region that's having to deal with all of the influx of refugees and everything like that. And the defense contractors are making money. And so like most wars, the regular people on all sides are just going to get punished for something that's out of their control.
Yep. All wars are rich man wars.
Yep.
So I got one more this week in government secrets. Do you want to yell something in a weird voice?
Ooh, Twigs 3.
That was a little too weird. I didn't want to rob people of the weird voice.
I love how you just said that. Do you want to yell something in a weird voice? You need to get that out of your system, Graham. You need to just do that.
No, it's because I enjoy it and I didn't want to skip over it.
Twig, segment number 3 in a weird voice for Lee Camp.
Thank you. For fuck's sake. What's a guy got to do to get a weird voice around here? So, March 4th, 2009, the International Criminal Court, the ICC, issues an arrest warrant for Sudanese President Omar Hassan al-Bashir for war crimes and crimes against humanity in Darfur. Al-Bashir is the first sitting head of state to be indicted by the ICC since its establishment in 2002. Now, here's the secret side of things, the government secret side of the ICC. Well, one is they've almost exclusively prosecuted black people.
Oh,
Because apparently only black people are war criminals. The second thing is that the U.S. is not party to the ICC. They did not sign on. As this is coming from Human Rights Watch, which is usually doing U.S. propaganda shit, but this is true what they wrote. The U.S. participated in the negotiations for the ICC that led to the creation of the court. However, in 1998, the U.S. was one of only 7 countries, along with China, Iraq, Israel, Libya, Qatar, and Yemen, that voted against the ICC. U.S. President Bill Clinton signed it in 2000, but did not submit the treaty to the Senate for ratification, so it never happened. In 2002, George W. Bush effectively unsigned the treaty. So basically we had never became a member, and then George W. Bush sent a second note that said, no, we're really not a member of the ICC.
That's what Clinton did is such a democratic move, right?
Yeah.
The Republicans just flat out say we're not doing this. Democrats go, we're going to do this, and have a signing ceremony, and then go, oh, I forgot to put a stamp on the envelope, or some.
I had a bunch of pieces of paper in my pocket, and it got mixed up with the dry cleaning receipt. It turns out I actually submitted my dry cleaning receipt to the Senate.
Boinks, done it again. Oh, boy. I thought that was the outgoing mail thing. Turns out it was a paper shredder. Oh, boy. This keeps happening.
Yeah, so you're absolutely right, because the Democrat basically is like, we wanted to be a part of the courts, but we just couldn't get it to work out. And then the Republicans were like, not only are we not part of the International Criminal Court, but, and here's the second government secret, we created something that people lovingly called the Hague Invasion Act. George Bush signed into law what it's actually called the American Service Members Protection Act, of 2002.
Right. Like in
Which-
Grandmas and Puppies Reclamation Act or
which
whatever.
says that if the ICC, the International Criminal Court that is signed off on by almost all countries, if they would ever grab a U.S. service member and prosecute them, or a U.S. politician or anyone for war crimes, we would invade The Hague. The U.S. would invade the Netherlands if they were ever to prosecute an American in the ICC. And this was ratified.
We are the evil, like we are so evil. It's unbelievable. But because we have strip malls and Disneyland and, you know, sports and NASCAR, we think we're not. Like, this is unreal. Like, we're going to invade The Hague. That's like literally, that's how the you know, if you ever prosecute one of my guys, it'd be a real shame if your whole little court thing there, everybody fell down a flight of stairs. You know what I mean?
It'd be a shame if your knees bent the wrong way after you sign that.
Yeah. I'd hate to see The Hague, you know, trip and fall on a set of steak knives. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So we literally, Congress, president signed something to invade the Netherlands if they ever prosecute us for war crimes. And this is one of the big sections of Julian Assange's book, the WikiLeaks files, which is one of the main reasons he has been tortured and imprisoned for 10 years now. If you can still get that book, which everyone should, and it shows that the U.S. State Department cables shows the pressure the U.S. was putting on all the other countries to not sign the ICC into existence, using every form of threat they could come up with to basically say, do not allow there to be an international criminal court that could prosecute war criminals. Because the truth is, guess what? The American leaders are some of the biggest war criminals in the fucking world.
In the world. In the world, American leaders are the biggest war criminals in the world. You want to just stack up body count? Just do numbers. We're number one. Like, just, I mean, look, just Yemen, 377,000 people.
6 million just from the war on terror alone over the past 20 years.
6 million. Oh my God. And then we're going to invade the Netherlands. Boy, that's real tough talk. That's just like a UFC fighter saying, I'm going to go beat up the kids at the preschool. Like, okay, the Netherlands, right. Like a bunch of high school skateboarding group could take over the Netherlands. Like, let's like,
they can't run very fast. The soldiers can't run very fast in their wooden shoes.
They've had legal weed for 40 years. How are they going to fight? All right. Is that our 3 twigs?
Those are our twigs. Yeah, man.
Oh, I feel like what this episode is basically, it's a never-ending stream of telling children, you know, when they get to be 10, 11 years old and they find out that there's no such thing as Santa Claus. Like, that's what this show basically is. It's just
for adults. Yeah.
For adults. It's for adults. It's like, I don't know, the Easter Bunny was your dad. You know what I mean? Like, there's no...
And he was taking it in the back by Santa Claus.
Yeah.
In the yard. But when you weren't looking.
When you weren't looking. That's why mommy moved out, because your dad was getting a bone thrown to him by Kris Kringle in the backyard. You know what I mean? It's all. And the tooth fairy, that's bullshit too. They just wanted to give you a nickel to shut you up after they tied your tooth to a doorknob.
That's the other name of this podcast was going to be Ruining Santa Claus for Adults. Yeah.
Oh God. And of course, the Loch Ness Monster for Mayor 2024. All right. Well, here's the one we were going to get to last. So this is actually Government Secret's only real segment after ranting and then some twigs.
Are you now taken to calling my segments not real segments? Is that what's going on? Well, now let's get to the real shit.
Lee's done yapping. I lost my job. Censorship. Now we can get into what I want to talk about. You know, I just came from a tanning bed, Lee, so I deserve a little extra.
Yep. I get it. The traffic was rough. I know. It's all you.
There's no two people should be having this much fun talking about how awful America is. You know what I mean? Like this really.
Oh my God, that's for the trailer. Whenever we get together a trailer, finally put our procrastination aside and put together a trailer for this show. That's it right there. No two people should have this much fun talking about war crimes and, you know, orphans being hit by bombs.
And just the wholesale lies of the American government for the last 200 plus years.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, Lee, you know, I love me a good CIA operation, right? You know, that's my bread and butter. I mean,
it's your wheelhouse. It is.
It's my tanning salon. I mean, it really is. I don't go to a tanning salon. I'm a surfer. This is natural. I'm not a fucking asshole at a tanning salon. But I do hot yoga. So there is a heat lamp involved.
Oh my God. I'm so hot that any yoga I do is hot yoga. Just saying. Just saying.
I think you should maybe we should do a government secrets calendar. Just you and I in hot poses.
Dude, the amount of money we'd make from t-shirts alone it's just money. It's just money sitting on a shelf somewhere. It's just sitting there.
Lee, I'm just telling you, I know you just lost your job. So if you want to start doing some merch, man, I'm down with.
All right. Well, now that I don't have a job, we make it into merch.
Maybe we add
all it took was one slight change in Lee's income stream, and all of a sudden there's 45 different plush dolls you can buy for government secrets. You can get the dildos, the cock rings, the nipple clamps. We got backpacks. We got kid leashes. If you want a leash for your kid that says Gov Seeks across it. It says your daddy's getting rammed by Easter Bunny in the backyard. We got those. Buy 10, get one free.
We have to sell kid leashes. We have to do this, Lee. This has to happen. Like if there's one thing we do before we die as men, we have to sell kid leashes that say pew pew on them.
Do they have personalized kid leashes? I don't know if they make those.
We should definitely do a limited edition. Your dad's getting rammed by Santa Claus in the backyard, and then we just saw Santa just fucking plowing into some guy in an Easter bunny.
Dude, these are going to be the most schizophrenic fucking t-shirts in the world. The front says Loch Ness Monster for Mayor of Atlantis. The back says your dad's getting rammed by the Easter Bunny.
People would walk around and would just come up on the street and go, what the fuck? What happened to you? You're just like, government secrets. That's our fans base would just be like,
just yell government secrets and then run off giggling into the woods.
Making weird government secrets and they run off.
Yeah.
Oh God, that's what I want. We need to mobilize our fan base to be just insane.
I mean, we were pretty close. In the one live show we did, your intro video had like John Tesh. It had photos of your like broken leaf car or whatever it was called.
Yeah, my Nissan Leafgate.
It was the most bizarre intro.
It was. I referenced all of the running jokes that we had done. When you said when I was like Leafgate, and I showed photos of my Leaf that was smashed, and then when I said at one time I was talking about my smoothie, and I said it's got unsweetened organic cashew milk, and you said that's the blandest. That's the John Tesh of milks.
I said that sounds like a review of John Tesh John Tesh album.
And so when I was making that slideshow for our live show, I found out John Tesh has like 15 albums. So like it was insane. It was like that's a government secret in and of itself. John Tesh, how did he get 15 albums made?
And he rates each album on his website from cashew milk to oat milk to soy juice. It's a rating system.
And it's just a song talking about your old man getting rammed by Santa. You know what I mean? That's his Christmas carol. Oh, fuck. God damn it, Lee. This show, I laugh so fucking hard when we do this show. It's so beautiful. It staves off the nightmares from the fact that probably I'm never going to see my 70th birthday because the human race will get wiped out. But anyway, this is fun.
Maybe you'll get one of those texts like Hawaii got saying their nuclear weapons are coming your way. Just like kiss your dick goodbye or whatever the text said.
It just said nukes coming your way, and then YOLO, and that was it. That's all.
And then it turned out some guy hit a wrong button at the control center or whatever. It was like, how is that a button you can hit?
Yeah.
Well, the janitor, he was supposed to hit the cleanup, the trash chute, but he hit the nukes on their way button.
Dude, literally, they had people deciding whether to drive and see their daughter or son during the nuke. Like they had 20 minutes to go. Do I go see my daughter or my son as the nuke hits? And then it turns out it was some fucking dipshit who dropped his Egg McMuffin on the button or something.
Well, that's something I find that hard to believe that some dipshit dropped his. I'm sure that was like, hey, let's scare the shit out of people. Maybe we can, justify nuking North Korea. You know what I mean? I think that's what it was really about. But anyway, let's get into the only real official government secret because Lee Camp was bullshit. This is folks, hit the like button, subscribe. Oh, and support us. So Lee doesn't have to get rammed by Santa in the backyard. Go to liberapay.com/government secrets.
That's plan B. This LiberaPay and the Patreon are plan A. Plan B is a show that we'll just say it involves two men in an Easter Bunny and Santa outfit.
Oh God.
I won't get into it deeper than that.
Our next live show, we have to dress up. One of us has to be Easter Bunny and one of us has to be Santa Claus and just walk on stage.
And do the whole show and never mention it.
Never. No, just talk seriously.
Yeah.
Be like, how was your week? And then do a Twigs and a couple of segments. Oh, fuck. All right. So as I was saying before.
If we ever get to this segment.
I don't know that we will. I like this sort of loosey-goosey unemployed Lee Camp. I like this guy that just
dude, people think I was holding back about Putin or something. I was really just holding back fucking loopy shit.
Because you were always like, okay, because you had so much work went into that show that now you're just like, yeah, whatever, man. Let's get a kid leash going. Oh, fantastic. All right. So this is as you know, I love a good CIA operation. So the CIA, using all of our taxpayer money that we're so happy for, produced a porno film. Yeah. So totally level-headed, reasonable people have always been running the CIA. President Sukarno ruled Indonesia from 1959 until 1966 when he was deposed by Suharto, one of his generals. By the way, Suharto was a butcher, but of course we loved him. If you let the US do whatever you want, we'll let you do whatever you want.
We love a butcher.
Love a good butcher.
Yeah.
So Sukarno had been deemed pro-communist by the CIA. So that we always know you just put a bullseye on your forehead. Yep. So just be pro-America and we will literally let you do whatever you want. So obviously there was an attempt. They either had to oust him or make him look bad. This is the CIA produced a porno film starring a Sukarno lookalike titled Happy Days.
Stop.
I'm not making this up. And we can only hope that guy said,
what is that? What kind of Craigslist posting did they use back in the 60s or whenever this was to find a Sukarno lookalike porn star?
Yeah. Like this is the thing I love about these ridiculous CIA operations. There's all this like other stuff involved just to make it happen. That's just as crazy, if not more crazy than the actual like harebrained. Right. I mean, the plots, half of the plots of these CIA operations that we've talked about in this show always just sound like some sort of like fraternity spring break movie. You know what I mean? Like,
oh my God. If there was just a series of comedy movies, just like called CIA Operation and then like a different name each time. Like, it's like Medea goes to, except it's CIA goes to.
Oh yeah. It's just, they're all just like combination of like nerds and Weekend at Bernie's, and just like they're all just whack up what the CIA guy's doing now, like zoinks, you
And
know.
then the Benny Hill music plays.
While they're like staging a coup.
While they're running in a circle around like Nazis being brought over to run our space program.
Just like so this is the wacky hijinks of the Central Intelligence Agency. And they were going to make this distribution in Indonesia. So not that the culture generally frowns on such things, but as the CIA understood it, being tricked, deceived, or otherwise outsmarted by one of the creatures God has provided for man's pleasure cannot be condoned in Indonesian culture. So this is the CIA heard this, or this is what their interpretation of this like cultural stigma was. And that what we were saying was that a woman had gotten the better of him. So the film went as far as production and stills were made, but for some reason, it was never deployed, which, I mean, $1 million I would pay if I was super rich. I need to get my hands on Happy Days. Like this needs to, it's like that Day the Clown Cried movie. Like
I guarantee that video is sitting in like Rupert Murdoch's safe in his basement or something.
Or it was like one of the things they uncovered in Epstein's lair or something like that.
Yeah.
Really like, and you know, there's a video of Bill Clinton and Epstein watching it. You know what I mean? Like there's a whole, there's like a unboxing video. But here's the other. So apparently that's what they claim. I think they probably went through with it, and it's sitting. It's like you say, it's somebody said, but this is the crazy thing. So you think, wow, they tried that back in the 60s. It's never going to work. This idea resurfaced shortly before the Second Gulf War, when the CIA suggested that a fake gay porno featuring Saddam Hussein or Osama bin Laden be produced in order to discredit these men in the eyes of their followers.
So fucking could you imagine being even a porn star showing up to this set and they're like, here, put on this beard, and they're like, what? Wait, what the fuck? Yeah, just hold this machine gun and just yell things. I know you don't know Arabic, just yell like noises and stuff.
I mean, the thing about that is like, how did the casting session go for this? You know what I mean? Just what did the breakdown read? Need a Saddam lookalike to do hot gay porn action? Yeah. Like what? I mean,
looking for Saddam lookalike, must do oral, and you're like, what? The fuck?
And, you know, knowing show business, a bunch of guys are like, oh, I got to get this. This will be huge.
It was the role I was born to play.
You just see them like talking to their friend, like, you know, at some diner in LA. Like, if I get this part, I mean, this could be big. I mean, this could be
this could be it. This will be seen by upwards of 10 people in Iraq. So
I mean, I don't know if I could ever like travel to the Middle East again, but you got to believe in America, I'm going to be huge. So this went nowhere, according to this article, which I find it hard to believe. I think they made this. One official claimed trying to mount such a campaign would show a total misunderstanding of the target. We always mistake our own taboos as universal when in fact they are just our taboos. And that's according to this article. But again, I think they've made both of these movies and they're out there somewhere, and they probably all watch this once a year, like on Christmas.
They made these movies. They took them home to put in their man cave, and they didn't actually release them.
I think Dick Cheney and John Ashcroft get together once a year and they watch these movies. That's my guess.
I would think so. Yeah.
So,
and they just watch this and It's a Wonderful Life, and they cheer for the banker. They cheer for Mr. Potter.
Cheer for the banker. And then they're like, we should reshoot the ending so the banker wins.
Yeah. I hate this part where the kid talks about angels.
Yeah, Zeus pedals. This is the boo. They just throw their scotch bottles at this TV or whatever. Have their butler, Mortimer, stand in front of the TV during this section and sing. That's what they do. So that's it for government secrets.
I think it was a pretty solid episode.
Yeah, dude. So where can people go follow you and all that stuff?
Well, I have plenty of websites. If people aren't joining my email, that's at leecamp.com. Right now is a good time for radindymedia.com because kind of the whole point of that place was if you get deleted, if some of these awesome voices get deleted from their platforms, you can still go to Rad Indie Media and find their stuff. So now it gets to be me. Yay. So Rad Indie Media. But the thing I need to build up right now if I'm going to, move forward with more independent media is patreon.com/LeeCamp. So.
Right. Well, thanks everybody for supporting what we're doing, dude. And how many years did you do Redacted?
8 years, man.
I mean, look, the reason it got shut down sucks, obviously, but in show business, having a TV show for 8 years, that's a big deal. I've never had a show longer than 2 seasons. I never got a season 3 out of any of those dumb game shows I did. So you got to do.
And were any of the game shows like Strip Poker, was that shut down by the State Department or no?
I don't think so. No, mine were shut down. Good old fashioned ratings. Game Show Network. The VP and the president got into a fight, and my show got canceled as a result. So it's just the most petty Hollywood bullshit. At least you have a legit oh hey, there's a war going on, and the State Department shut me down.
The real reason, as opposed to I slept with an intern, and they were like, "This is a bad look for the network."
Yeah, like two executives having a fucking pissing contest, and I lose my job as a result.
Fair point. All right, man. I'm excited for what's to come. Hopefully more touring, and I will see you back next week.
You got it, man. Later. Hey, everybody. Thanks for watching. We are still in our 9th month of demonetization from YouTube. So support what we're doing at patreon.com/Graham Elwood or rockfin.com/Graham Elwood, which is a blockchain cryptocurrency platform. It's free to sign up, and there's a premium level at $10 a month. And for that, you get everybody on the platform's premium content. Myself, Lee Camp, Ron Placone, Jimmy Dore, Whitney Webb, Kim Iverson, Abby Martin, and many, many others. You can also support what we're doing at Venmo at Graham-Elwood. And go to GrahamElwood.com. We have a PayPal button and a PO box. I also have crypto wallets, which are all in the show notes. Thanks for supporting what we do.